Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of The Show, Trek Wednesday. Stardate 2016.132 at... Wow, I can't believe this. We're actually on time. 2200 Eastern Standard Time. I am graced here with one of the greatest panels in all of podcast kingdoms. Starting with our Chief Intelligence Officer, we know him as the grumpiest grumpy cat in all of Starfleet. Chief Intelligence Officer, Sarcasm Detector. Say hello to the show, folks.
Greetings, showers. How are you doing tonight? Isn't it great night to be listening to the show?
Too much caffeine.
Whoa. What the hell, man?
What the hell?
What the hell? We're just going to move on with that. We're definitely going to have you get checked out by our Chief Ironic Medic, who definitely needs to look into why this is happening here. Captain MK, say hello to everybody out there on the show.
100 milligrams of Thorazine stat. We need to put this guy out before he's a threat.
Something. Our Chief Emergency Role-Playing Hologram. I wonder if you had something to do with this.
I
from
had
Zeph Films.
nothing to do with it. I think the cat needs to be neutered.
What?
That's a low blow. I mean, literally a low blow.
Whoa. And our Chief of Cheesy Tactics / why did we not have any lag in your game, SOB. How you doing, man?
Hello. And didn't you know I've got like my own dedicated servers, man?
I didn't know that. I did not know that. Did you inform Cryptic Studios, because they might be able to borrow some server space from you?
Well, it's their servers. It's just like that map. You see, it's dedicated.
I see.
So we
All right,
can
well-
choose everything.
Enough with the cheese already. We're going to go straight into this here. Patch notes were released ahead of our schedule anyway. And we like what we see here, don't we, gentlemen?
See.
Yes, it is a very good patch.
I think the best out of the best that I've saw so far. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but my opinion is that the greedy emitters issue is, 100% fixed now?
It is. It is finally no longer resisting all weapon power drain, and that was already fixed, and this patch fixes the other issue, so you can no longer keep it up forever.
So people can finally play freely and fairly.
It's a lot less greedy now.
I see what you did there. What else is on there that we should be paying attention to?
Well, there's the one here that's, this one's my personal peeve, and this has been annoying me since this actual console was released, the Polaric Modulator console. Although I don't quite understand what they're saying in the patch notes, resolved an issue where the Polaric Modulator's console's engine power boost didn't apply until after moving to another map. Now, the bug that I saw with this one was that every time you did a map change, it would fail. So you would not get the, I think it was weapons to engines power boost until you pulled it off of your ship and put it back in, and then it would apply again. So maybe there was another part of the bug where if you moved map up again, it would reapply. Not sure I understand that, but it looks like they fixed that, and I'm happy because I really like this module, this particular console, and just didn't have the time to use it because who wants to, pull a console off and put it back on every single time you change maps?
It would be nice to actually use the loadout system when it works, instead of being afraid that we'd lose gear, but...
Yeah, I still just recommend it for that reason. I know Luke Critter lost gear and some other people did.
Yeah, I lost gear into the Nether. Fortunately, all I did was switch ships, and I had a preset for it with that same piece of gear that was lost, and then just pulled it back. So it was good that way. But Yeah, it would be nice to be able to use a console and not have to worry about it there. So thanks for the fix, really.
My strong rec is to avoid the feature entirely until, you know, I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't really see it ever getting fixed, unfortunately, and that's not really me being critical. It doesn't seem to be much of a priority.
The other two things, the first one is the aceton assimilators can no longer be summoned in social zones, so ESD space, among other things. I
Did
didn't
they
know.
did they recently fix them so that they also wouldn't turn enemy upon whoever threw them down leaving the map?
That I don't know.
I don't know.
Because that was a thing until recently, I think. It may have been patched. I don't remember for sure, but I remember it happening recently.
I'm wondering if it's the same thing with the biomolecular shield as well, because it will also be considered an enemy whenever that player leaves. I'm guessing the game treats it as a pet, and if the pet doesn't have its ally currently there to assign it affiliation, once they leave, it just becomes either neutral or an enemy. I don't know. I'm guessing. Just speculation on my part.
So much violence. We'll find out and we'll report back.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing. I wonder if that was actually being used for trolling or whatever, because once they do expire, they do explode. So
That would explain a couple of the explosions.
Still not as funny as abandoned ship in ESD orbit. I wish they hadn't.
And the last thing I really want to point out is the Switch Starship UI, which up till now has just showed ships in the order that you basically got them. And now it's they've enabled sort by ship name. So yeah, that pretty much the most important thing right there.
It's the little things.
Yeah, but a lot of those little things add up. So if they keep fixing it, that'll be a good quality of life improvement for a lot of people.
Oh, not to be understated. The little things are actually the things I appreciate, like the work on the mail system, for example. I think that really made a lot of people happy that really didn't like stupid blinking icons in full mailboxes.
All right, going on here, we are looking at we've already had the May 5th announcement, obviously. What is our takeaway from all of this, aside from AOI? Not everybody at once now.
Say what?
Yeah, well, I mean, what do you exactly mean? Do you mean
what's the takeaway from the announcement? What's the big thing that we would want to pay attention to as the players in this caliber?
For the expansion.
Yes.
Can you clarify what the announcement is?
The expansion. AOI, I forgot the full thing here. Forgive me.
Yesterday.
Thank you.
For me personally, I'm still in a holding pattern. I'm going to reserve judgment until the actual content is released, but there has been more stuff that has been coming to light as the week has progressed since they've announced it.
Right. Most interesting is the half faction aspect. It's going to be all fed in like a half faction of its own, I believe.
Yeah, it's supposed to have like its own sector map as well.
Yep.
So
yep.
I believe some of the notes were from like the interview with Gecko it was I think briefly considered to be like a separate game, but they didn't want to split up the community, so they worked it in to kind of be its own separate thing.
I read that same interview, and that's what was said, that they, it's different enough that it was considered its own game, or considered to be produced as its own game for a while. I'm glad they rolled it in STO. I'm just waiting to see what the benefits to the other tunes on the same account would be. I hope it's something generous and similar to the Delta Alts were.
So from what I see or what I've read so far, and I'll be honest, I haven't really looked into it too much. I mean, I saw the announcement, I saw the initial pack, the 2 packs that they're offering, and I was actually pretty excited about that. So what it looks like is you get another character slot and you create a new character that's a Fed character but isn't quite aligned with the current Fed characters that you have, and you start out in the past. So when the original series era, and you level up at that point till you get to what, level 40, level 50, and then you are in the present.
Yeah,
Like-
this is supposed to take place after 3 years before the setting of the original series movies and after the TOS series. I can't remember what year that is. 20.
So roughly circa animated series, because that's about when that all took place.
Yeah, I think after the animated. I'm not 100% sure. I actually didn't pay attention.
Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a TAS Easter egg or two. Just saying, because that would be the perfect time to slip them in.
Yeah, but this current storyline that we're going through apparently is supposed to lead into this new storyline that's going to be introduced with the, I guess you could call it expansion. I don't know what to officially call it just yet.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
it
calling
does. It's like you said, it does sound like an entirely different game and just loosely associated with STO. I mean, it's the same IP, the same engine, the same gameplay stuff, mechanics, but the faction itself is independent. You only get that one faction, and I'm guessing it has its own storyline for quite a bit of time. It's just
Most of the game.
Yeah, will
Is
those
what it is.
characters dovetail into what we currently have? So are they going to
Yeah,
be
that's-
forever separate? That's the question. Are they
No,
going to be
it's-
forever separate, or will you get to a
No.
certain point and you start
They-
playing?
It's basically been said that they'll rejoin the timeline and the current storyline as well.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
and
technically, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alan.
oh no, I was just going to say that would bring us into the other announcement that was made today that they're bringing Daniels from the Enterprise series into STO. So maybe Daniels will be that kind of that bridge that brings the TOS faction into the 2410 that we're in right now, and then vice versa. It'd be like, hey, there's something going on in 2410. We need you to go to the future and help fix it. Okay, you're done here. You can go back to 2270.
Yeah, I was just going to make a comment on that because it'll be in the 22XX era at some point, and then you're going to rejoin the 2410 era. So
Yeah.
you're going to get plucked out of the timeline and move to the future.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm wondering if that's why they're bringing Daniels to STO, and I can't remember if, like, in the article, which we have the link here for, I can't remember if they stated in that article that they were actually bringing the actor who played Daniels in to do the voice work. I wouldn't be surprised if they
They
did.
were indeed.
Oh yeah, they did. Matt Winston, there it is.
And
First line. I can't believe I missed that. But yeah, no, I think it'd be kind of cool to bring him in. I think it'd be.
he was
nice way to.
he was a very interesting character in Enterprise. A lot of the people that liked Enterprise liked him very much.
Yeah, I liked Enterprise for the most part. And yeah, Daniels for me was an actually interesting character. It was one of those. I can't remember what the word is. But
He's a bit of a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah. Well, I was going to
Oh,
say
he's
he's definitely a story element to kind of bridge that gap and make things make sense, really.
Like a poof, you're fine.
Yeah. So,
Hand of God, hand wavium. Yeah, for sure.
But there is one thing I really, really want to bring up here, and I have to give Thomas the cat mad props on this. Did you guys see the old and new of the Constitution class?
I don't want to be rude and critical and say that the old was crap, because it wasn't crap, but the new one is just so much more on point.
It is. Like, I'm looking. Can you bring the link up on your screen share?
Like the old one is lacking the triangle impressions on the other side of the saucer.
Yeah, the
some
new
significant,
the new design screams TOS to me. Like it seems with the old version of the Constitution class that you can get with the special edition whatever. It seems that it has the modern 2409 2410 kind of hull package to it.
right down to the insignia. If you look, it's not the proper font, and Thomas has corrected that.
Yeah, and then you look at the new version, and at the end of the nacelles, it's got the correct black housing at the end of it. The main hull, like the engineering hull, is a little bit more slender. The gray is that classic TOS.
It's the proper thermocoat.
Yeah, and the text is like spot on. Like I really loved what he did.
Here's a question I have for Thomas, and actually I'm going to tweet this to him, but I would be curious myself if the pilot parts will be available. And by that I mean the spike collector caps and the omission of the spheres at the end of the nacelle tips and things like that, the changes that were made between the pilot and the full-blown series. It would be really cool to have those parts as kit bash, because I don't see a lot of other opportunities to kit bash those TOS ships. So maybe having those variations would be nice.
That'd be an interesting question to ask him.
I mean, I will tweet him that and see if he responds.
I don't know, what does everyone else think of the old versus new?
I think that's an amazing improvement. He did a very nice job there.
I like the cleanup on the ram scoop. It actually feels like it's actually active when it's moving through space and not just kind of, well, here's a colored glass cap that we're just going to put on top of the nacelles. But, I'm a nerd like that.
Yeah.
Oh, we all are. I mean, that's why we're discussing the differences between these two models.
Even the flow of the I don't want to linger on this too much, but I really need to give props where props is due, which is what we do here on the show. And just the new hull, like even though the shape looks about the same, the saucer section I mean, the color and it just seems to flow so much nicer, and it's just like even that the bottom picture there where you see the underside of the saucer and you see the little white dome right smack dab in the middle. It's just amazing. But leading off of this, so in the new picture we see the NCC 1701. Thomas also confirmed that in the new faction series we will be able to use the 4 digits, so NCC 1702 or whatever, and we'll also be able to use the 2 digits with the NX classification, which I think is awesome. Like that is just a cool thing to kind of help with immersion, really. Like if you're, I think like that was a really good call. If you're going to be making a thing where it's TOS, you're going back in time to 2270, it does not make sense where you still have the same ship registration. It says NCC and then it starts with 9 followed by 4 or 5 other numbers after it. It just, I think implementing that with the 4 digits and the 2 digits with the NX is just awesome. Like that's so far with everything that's being leaked out is just I'm happy so far.
Generally, I really like the concept of this expansion. Actually, it might actually get me excited to play STO again. One thing I do want to talk about is what the hell is wrong with people? I mean, people have gone apeshit bananas over this announcement. I mean, like, they really, really hated it. And even to the point where we've had devs like Zeronius tweeting about this vitriol that's out there. I mean, I guess it could be expected out of Star Trek fans. It's ironic, and it's actually kind of pathetically sad that a lot of the fans of Star Trek are just really, really anal retentive. And I'll say it, sorry, this program is rated M for mature languages, but I mean, really, some of you guys really need to pull your heads out of your asses. I mean, how can you get so worked up about something that you haven't seen yet. Like really, and some of the stuff that I saw being written, it just blows my mind. I'm the type of person that will actually reserve judgment until I actually test something out, till I actually get my hands on it. Maybe it's just the scientist in me. And despite all the flaws in this game, all the problems that exist, and trust me, if I run into a problem with the game, I'm not gonna hold back. I'm gonna lay into them, whether it's a glitch or an exploit or a dev that did something back. I'm not gonna hold back. But when there's something that we haven't even experienced yet, we've just had the teaser to it, and you're spewing hate and vitriol, it just blows my mind. And this is, let's be honest, it's not something that just new to Star Trek Online. This has been the case with Star Trek fans for a long, long time. Just like I remember when the Next Generation was released, and there was so much hate from the old TAS fans. When Deep Space
I remember
Nine
too,
was,
man.
yeah, when Deep Space Nine was released, the same thing. All the TNG fans were like,
Yep. Remember that too. I was 14.
yeah,
I was 14.
and then Voyager came out, and they're the same thing over and over again. And
I couldn't tell you how excited I was for Voyager. I couldn't sleep at all the night before it aired. I mean, I can still put myself where I was when Voyager came out, and it like you said, it boggles me that people don't have this. It's Star Trek, guys. Come on, we're here because it's Star Trek. A lot of us. So
let's be serious for a second, though. Voyager had some horrible writing. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Some, but it also had some really, really great exploration, and that was it went old school like that in a way that even TNG didn't sometimes.
Yeah, and you know what? This is just a trend really with any like fiction or any kind of genre that's out there, like Star Wars, like Star Wars fans losing their minds that the female is lead role in Rogue One. Like, oh my God! But it's I really do hope. Like, I
still needs to be Jan Ors.
I sincerely hope that the developers nail this one out of the park for two reasons. One, this will definitely bring a lot of players in because there is a lot of TOS fans, and that will bring a lot of the old school people back into the game and have fun with this. And this is actually kind of linked with one too, but I hope they execute this well because one is because there is those hardcore fans of TOS, you have to execute this one really good. Because like Cam, you were saying, like, if there's anything wrong, like bugs or anything like that, you're going to speak up. But if they mess up with anything TOS wise, you can be sure that there's going to be a lot of fans voicing their opinion, like, oh no, you didn't, you messed up the TOS stuff, what is this? But I'm
of around.
Yeah, it's so I'm still gonna sit back and see what happens. There's supposed to be a huge announcement. It's supposed to be like the hugest announcement ever for Star Trek Online at the convention.
That's
in Germany.
not related to the expansion, right? I believe that's what they said. I believe what they said was it's a big announcement that's not concerned, that doesn't concern the expansion. And so that was what was interesting about it.
See,
dedicated servers?
The article I read was translated from German to English, so my article, well, I don't think that really has anything to do with it, but the article I read didn't really mention anything, like didn't say this doesn't have anything to do with the expansion. It just said Salami and two others, Swaller and one other guy is going to be there, and there's going to be a huge announcement, biggest in STO's history. And you know what, my interest is piqued. On Facebook, I saw a couple of people say, you know what, I'm turning on my notifications for Twitter this weekend just so I could see what it is as soon as it comes out. So there is a lot of eyes watching this, and if you haven't heard about it, we'll have the link. Do I have the link? No, I actually don't have a link. But
we'll get the link for you.
Well, the article, it's just an article talking about it, but keep your eyes on Twitter, keep your eyes on the Reddit, keep your eyes on the forums, as toxic as they may be, because as soon as that news drops, you'll be able to find it there. I don't know what. Do you guys have any speculation what it might be?
I have none.
I'm actually wanting to backtrack a little bit here and discuss a point that was brought up a bit by Sarcasm Detector concerning this announcement. AOI probably would be a good expansion. As far as the expansion is concerned, I'm one to wait and see how it will come out before I cast judgment on it. But some of the ire that has been presented on the forums as well as in the game itself was not because of a new expansion being released, but because of a neglect to even acknowledge some of the performance issues that have been happening in the game, as well as a plethora of issues that needed to be fixed. And it seems that there's a perception that the resources have been spent to try and put this thing together. And even as Zeronis Rex had pointed out, she said her and her team have been working on this for about a year in order to try and put this out. But we'd like to be able to enjoy that type of content if we actually had a decent performance out of the game itself. So that's my personal gripe with it. Other people have had their personal gripes with it, seeing that, well, why couldn't they expand upon the Star Trek universe itself instead of just reverting back to the TOS era? Why couldn't they add another faction or even develop another faction other than Fed 2.0, or develop the existing factions and flesh them out a bit more, because you do have the opportunity to be able to not only solidify what we do know about them, but even go so far as to give a backstory about those factions there, the KDF and the Romulans. You can even do a temporal missions there to see how both of them rose to power, for example. There's plenty of room to grow with those factions that are already in existence. Why didn't they spend time doing that?
Oh, well, I'm sorry. You're sorry, Spencer. Let me cut you out for a minute here. I'll let you speak in a second. I'm gonna let you finish. But Odin, you're being reasonable here. Here's the difference. I mean, like you're giving some pretty good examples, and you're being, this is a reasonable critique. And let's be honest, the majority of the vitriol, the toxicity in the forums hasn't been reasonable at all. So
I agree with you there. And for those people, we just tell them to shut the hell up and actually come back with something decent, or you have no room to critique at all.
So yeah, I agree with you that there's definitely performance issues with the game. Unfortunately, you can't tell Thomas the Cat stop what you're doing and start fixing the game because of freaking bugs and lag and whatnot.
Nor would we want to.
Well, yeah, especially on a marketing standpoint. I mean, this year is the 50th anniversary. Like, yeah, the lag needs to be fixed, and we're going to be talking about that a little bit later as well.
Yeah, and I actually got some responses back from Thomas, if anyone is curious.
Oh, okay.
Regarding what we asked about earlier. And so he said it's not really on his agenda, but if he can find time to make them, he will. And he further clarified in a second tweet. Give me a second here. The nacelle, let's see. He said the nacelle caps are easy, but I'd want to do the pilot version of the whole ship, which is a bigger project. He's correct. But, boy, just the fact that he's even willing to talk to anyone about it is great.
So, we love you, bro. Keep up the good work. And the Prasad Ram scoops, love them.
Yeah, you make the nerds happy, dude. Thanks. So, there you go.
Thomas is actually really good at working on his own time, isn't he? So, that actually might show up if it's.
I would hate to ask anyone for that kind of thing, But like I said to him, Hearts and Minds is one of my favorite missions in the game, and Jesse came up with it in his spare time. It was entirely a labor, although we wouldn't have it if he didn't come in on weekends, as I'm told. So
I'm sure we wouldn't have a lot of stuff if the developers didn't spend extra hours. Like we know Zeronius Rex has put in a lot of extra hours.
On the Foundry.
Thomas the Cat, I can't remember what ship it was that he stayed, and I think he put in was it like either between 90 or 120 of his own hours, personal time hours, into I can't remember what ship.
I want to say it's the command ships. So I'm not 100% sure.
Andromeda.
Was it not the Odysseus? The Odysseys?
Or the Odyssey, possibly.
But regardless,
Yeah,
Thomas.
he put in a lot of time on his own stuff, and I personally have thanked him for what he's done with the Manticore, because thing of beauty, and whoever designed it, whichever system or mechanics dev designed that thing, yeah, top notch. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No.
So what I was going to say is I'm very excited for this expansion. I'm going to get the pack myself, but the only concern I have is back to the server performance. Is we've got these issues right now with not as many people on, and when that expansion goes live and we see a flood of people on, I hope they've got stuff fixed. Otherwise, we're going to see people getting just turned off from the game when they hit endgame.
Yep, we understand it's a separate team, but it is what it is. Perception is a thing that companies have to deal with, and if your server performance is poor, it doesn't matter how good the content is to an extent.
Well, I'll even go so far and say this. Sorry, sarcasm. Let me say this real quick here. I mean, even here on the show, I mean, we have all individual components that we do, or different expertise that we bring to the table. And if one of us doesn't do something productive that contributes towards a total effort, it shows. And we feel it internally, and externally people see it as well. So if we have something where one falters, we have somebody else to pick up or to help out, that's great. We can do that. We have the flexibility to be able to do that. We actually have the ability to be able to multitask or overlap with some of our talents to be able to cover each other. With something as complicated as STO and inherited from a different team altogether, you have to worry about trying to reverse engineer the spaghetti code and then build on top of it. Yeah, it's a headache, but you own it. That's your baby now. You're going to have to work on it and fix it in order to make all other aspects look good. So if one falters, you could have the perfect game engine, but crappy content, nobody's going to like it. You could have perfect content that's replayable up to the nth power, but a horrible game engine or horrible network performance or horrible infrastructure, nobody can play it. What good is it?
All right, the point I was trying to make here, just to answer Spencer, is remember that a lot of this lag issues, these performance issues, are exclusive to endgame content, which is where we usually play. Let's be honest, that's where we spend most of our time. For newer players, or even players that have started new characters and are leveling up new characters, there aren't any performance issues, and we've discovered this a while back. I mean, I've even created a couple of new alts and leveled them up a bit, but then got bored and moved on to different things. But that's beside the point. A lot of these performance issues are not there for characters leveling up. So, this gets released, this expansion gets released, people make the new characters and they start leveling them up. They're not going to be seeing these particular problems that a lot of us are seeing at the end game content. So I think they're safe in that regards, but I don't think they should, sit back on their laurels and just, let it be. There has to be something done in regards to some of the performance issues. And let's be honest, it's getting close to 2 years now. Get something done. Fix this. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Just to touch back, we had one more thing about the 11.5. Our buddy Loot Critter released an article earlier this week, I believe, either on Sunday or Monday. Everything we know so far about the temporal ships and others. We'll have that link for you guys there to read over. I also read there's 13 things that we know about the expansion that Massively OP put out. I am going to find that link as we move on to the next thing. But Loot Critter and I, once the ships are officially released, we are actually going to do a collaboration together. Whereas he's going to do his article review of the ships, and I'm going to do my usual cinematics of the ships and kind of join forces. And that should be a lot of fun. I'm actually looking forward to doing that with Loot Critter. So Yeah.
Can I play too?
Oh, nice. Can't wait to see what comes out of that collab.
I know, right? But I don't know. Do you want to talk about lag?
You know, something that Mike had brought up here, Michael Hall in the chat had brought up, um, we haven't heard much from the dev community as far as what is being done about it, let alone even acknowledging that it exists. And this will bring up something else that SOB and I and a couple other folks have seen here. SOB, I'll let you take away this one.
Okay, so out of boredom, I went and made a Foundry mission that just is jam-packed with board cubes, and going with the team, it's meant to be much more challenging than Elite. So we went and gave it a try last night. We did a few runs with just myself and another, a few runs with a full 5-man team, but the same thing happened every time. There was no lag, and this is a map that has more entities than Hive Space Elite. And we're there spamming every buff we've got, and we're not lagging. Yet we go and immediately do a queue afterwards, and we're bouncing back and forth. I'm wondering, what's the difference between their Foundry server and the PvEQ server?
You know, that might be a question that we could reach out to Zeronius about and ask. Maybe she.
Well, I
might have
kind of
some insight.
nudged. I actually kind of nudged Cryptic Rock with it and making a joke with him on the forums about it, saying that, you know, Cryptic Rock, what happened here? Is this something where Foundry maps are being generated on a different virtual server, and then all the other regular queues are being set up on a different instance server, which is on a different virtual box, or you just didn't feed the hamsters? And he said this is why he doesn't own any pets. So we'll see. But at least he saw the thread. He saw the text. So we know he's read that. I don't know if he'll pass it on. I'm pretty sure he'll pass it on to the rest of his colleagues, and then maybe we might get an official response from somebody on it. But there was some acknowledgement on it as far as, hey, you read this. This is clear as day. What gives?
And I want to jump into what's being talked about in chat here about events. Now, we have the CCA event coming up, and that, right now, that lag's pretty bad, so I'm wondering how it's going to be this next time around, just how bad it's going to get lag-wise.
Well, at least with us, we'll only have to deal with it for, 30 seconds?
Look, man, we're trying to work it down at 15, okay? 15.
All right,
But that lag and misfire really screws things up.
True.
And that's popping up on the 19th.
Oh, you know what? I don't have the calendar, but yeah, it's definitely starting. I can't remember if it's mid to definitely near the end of May, and then it's going right until June 9th. And June 19th? I thought the calendar. Oh, you know what? I'm actually in game. I can look at it myself.
Yeah,
right
starting May 19th to June 9th.
June 9th, right? And then that is around the time where the summer event is rumored to start, which I've heard that there last year during the summer event there was some FPS issues on Ryza, so hopefully they can kind of sort those things out. But yeah, no, it is just confusing when and where the lag starts. Like, I've even noticed, like, turning off my HUD at one point, everything just smooths right out, and sometimes it doesn't. And then you guys were doing that Foundry mission yesterday with like 96 tactical board cubes, was it?
More than that, it was like in the hundreds. 100 and something.
No lag, but then you go into an ISA and we have, what, 5 spheres a cube? And
now, sorry to interrupt. I know we did have, real quick, we did have it recorded by at least 2 different people. We'll put the links in there from the challenge just so you can see the experience with it. And there was a recording afterwards on how we did a run in one of the regular queues, and you could see the performance on it. Now, I did have a few misfires of abilities, but as far as everything performing in general, performing when I actually activated them, it worked. So that's a little bit perplexing now and adds another monkey wrench into the entire equation. But we're trying to look from the outside in and not being able to see what the inner mechanics are set up like. So that's something to consider. And I know General Martok is going back to the expansion there, and he's a little bit perturbed about having to throw $130 towards a series of ships and some perks for a Fed faction with a little bit of what is it, 2 ships that can be faction agnostic that they could use at the higher level? Was it a T5 and a Tier 6, if I remember correctly?
I think it was T6 ships.
Which one?
Okay.
The Temporals?
Yes.
Yeah. The multi-mission and the other one that kind of looks like a Batwing as well, a Temporal Batwing. Yeah, those were confirmed to be both multi-faction ships.
All right. While we're back on that point there, we're going to see some people come into STO for the first time. What are your guys' thoughts on whether they will enjoy the experience, if they would stay around, what things that they might need to look out for or should prepare for? Do we even have a guide for first-time players? Hey, things to look out for and what to do?
I think perhaps one of the things that Cryptic should try and do is some semblance of a new player guide. So an actual, they could do it as part of the TOS faction, is do something a little bit more thorough than just the tutorial, but keep dropping bits of knowledge as the storyline progresses. Since they can do that more organically now than they could even after the tutorial revamp that the Feds got. I think they could do a better job of a little more hand-holding. I've dealt with some brand new players recently. I had one gentleman that had a lot of trouble getting through the tutorial and with really good gear. And it was just, he was doing the exact wrong things. And it wasn't the fact that he was not doing things the way he didn't think he should. It wasn't very clear how he should handle space battles. The 3 spheres on 1, he was just getting rocked. And so I think maybe they could do a better job of that kind of thing. Do you agree?
I think so, because the initial tutorial kind of leaves some things to be desired.
Much to be desired as far as the hand-holding.
Yeah, there's some things that it's on point with, and then there's this huge gap of, well, what do I do now? Or how does this work? Or what does this do with this concerning this?
I mean,
I think there needs to be a revamp as far as having some of the abilities that are labeled, all damage. I know this is a pet peeve of mine, but if it's all damage is supposed to fall under this category, make sure it's consistent across the board. That sort of thing.
I mean, that's also a separate and very, very valid point. The one I want to make, just before I forget it, is even though I'm asking for more comprehensive hand-holding and things like that, for the love of God, please make it skippable.
Yes, because we're sick and tired of having to do the same thing.
Because I have no problem helping new folks with the game. I love it. It's a lot of fun to me, actually. That's why I built a support build. But there are those of us who would love to skip the tutorial, and not having the option is excruciating.
With the option to skip the tutorial?
Yeah, we definitely want to have the option to be able to skip the tutorial, because, okay, you create a tune.
For the new one. For the
new one. Well, after you're done going through it once, there should be some sort of marker that says, okay, you completed this tutorial, can you skip this? Say answer yes or no.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure they'll have that mechanic in there.
Yeah. I believe they did something like that with the help me here. Oh gosh, now I can't remember. Oh, the one they did last year. The name escapes me right now for some strange reason.
The one they did last year.
The event last year for the new tunes and the new, well, not necessarily faction.
The Delta recruit?
Yeah, the Delta recruit. Thank you. For some reason, I just couldn't remember it. But yeah, the Delta, where you're able to skip past a certain basic tutorial and just go through up to X point.
I don't even remember that.
Delta recruits, yeah, the Delta recruitments.
Yeah, I remember it, but I don't remember the first part where you could skip stuff. I don't know.
Well, hey, you know what, Mikey? If you can find any threads on Reddit, especially in SEO builds, that'll be something good that first-time players should look at. We'll be able to get the links and post it up on the show notes, as well as on any of the threads that we post on, and we'll definitely have something there for New Player's Guide.
I will do my best. I will be very, very honest in that something like that is a moving target. It's difficult to write something that can be modular and can be updated as stuff changes, because stuff changes so rapidly. And, you know, it's a lot of effort. I will definitely do my best to find some stuff. I don't think this week will be, you know, just I'd like to prepare. But how about next week I'll actually come up with something for you?
How about this? Have something that is correct and don't rush it.
Yeah, that's the problem, that it's a moving target, and with multiple mods and things like that, it is a challenge to communicate. And
Right.
So there's a lot of work that goes on, you know, that people don't necessarily see regarding that kind of thing.
Well, going back to the original topic, if people were thinking of returning to the game, this was actually, I brought this into the show notes because I saw this in the Reddit thread. Somebody that was actually thinking of coming back into the game and asked, is it worth it? And they said that they haven't played since shortly before the Delta Rising, and but he's been thinking about coming back, and he's just mostly interested in the story and PvE content, and was wondering if it was still any good. And I'm surprised that it didn't gain a lot of traction. Like, there's only really 4 comments. One of them was from the OP. So I thought I'd bring it here just to kind of feel it out with you guys. Like, if somebody was thinking about coming back, would you tell them? Like, is it worth it for them to come back if they're looking for a story? Me personally, I would say, yeah, you know, come back if you're looking for a story. Like, definitely, if you were a Voyager fan, the Delta arc was interesting, and it actually tied in a few other loose ends, especially one loose end from whatchamacallit, TNG with those bug things, and so
There's the no.
Yeah.
That's basically my take on it. Is that and I have to be honest here. It can be daunting to start the game and not know anything about Star Trek. In other words, if you're not a Star Trek fan, certain things about the game are intimated in a way that a Star Trek fan would understand a little bit better, like certain storyline options and certain gameplay options, and even gear, like what gear does. Looking at the name of gear, if you know stuff about Star Trek, you might be able to guess what it does. If you don't know anything about Star Trek, you probably won't. And so that is probably that's my concern, is that it's hard to make it accessible for non-Star Trek fans, and so they might put some effort towards that as well.
Yeah, because they, like, if they play through the Delta arc and they see the big reveal with those bug things from TNG.
Yeah, but if you didn't watch TNG,
yeah, if you didn't see that episode of TNG or never watched TNG at all, you're not. It's just going to go right over your head. You're not going to get it. Meanwhile, me personally, I'm just like, oh my god,
holy fuck! You know that's huge.
Fucking awesome. I can't believe they actually tied this in. That was cool. So, Yeah.
So if you're not a Star Trek fan, I guess my TLDR is that maybe not. I'm not saying there are better games out there necessarily. I don't know. I'm not much of an MMO player in general, but this game really has gems for the devout Star Trek fan. And conversely, it can be a little bit obtuse if you're not one. There is technobabble present and things like that. Not everybody likes that.
I think that depending on the person, and not even necessarily whether they're a Trekkie or a Trekker or not, depending on the person who asks, I may give them a different answer. If they're looking for more of an arcadey style shoot with some story elements into it, I would tell them, yeah, go ahead and try it out and see if it's your speed. Here are some of the pitfalls with it, and here's some of the places you may want to start focusing on, again, depending on the person. As a general blanket statement, right now I honestly say I can't, and that's because of some of the performance issues. And the reason why is because a lot of the people that I play with from different games, their big thing is, okay, what's there at endgame? What's at the top level? What is the challenge that's going to get thrown to us as a group for us to defeat at the end of the end of the end? When you have the gear, when you have the sets, when you have the builds that you want to focus on and enjoy, what is there to test your mettle with against? And if it's not up to snuff, they're going to leave in a heartbeat, and they're going to be gnashing teeth at me saying, why did you make me waste my time on this?
Well, at least it's kind of just time, and like at least the upside is the game is free, so you're not out any money if you want to try and play the game.
The model is generous too.
Yeah, so you can at least get up to the level 50. Oh, you know what? Hell, you can get up to through the story arc level 60 with the free ships that are available through the free ship tokens.
Takes maybe a month of pretty relaxed playing to max a tune, in my opinion. 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
But then I could see. I could probably see them getting. I could probably see them getting a little frustrated at the end when they start doing the end game content, and it seems like that's where the majority of the lag is isolated, is in the end game content like ISA, HSE, and all that, and not so much in the main missions. Like there's little hiccups here or there, but what game doesn't have a little hiccup? So I could see them getting to the end game content and just being like, what? And that kind of just deterring them away from the game. But I don't know.
Without a supportive community, which they might not have any idea in the first place how to find.
Yeah, and that would be another really good piece of information to actually put into the game. Like, there's these tags like Media Core that's thrown around on the STO forums, which in my opinion isn't really getting utilized. It's just a separate section for us media guys just to dump stuff, and it sits there and collects dust and really doesn't get any exposure. But it'd be really nice if, like you guys were talking about, for new players coming into the game, into the tutorial, be like, hey, if you want to see how certain things work, here's a link to this section of the forums for you to go to. Click this link, and then you click it, and it'll open up a separate browser window, hopefully not crashing the game, and show you the media core or whatever core, and you'll be able to see videos like engineering build videos go here, tactical build here videos go here, let's play. There is so many different let's play videos for so many different missions that I've seen people complain, hey, you know what, I'm stuck on this mission, I don't know what to do. Oh, you know what, let's go to the let's play section, look up the actual mission. Oh, okay, that's what you need to do. All right, cool. I'm going to go back and do that. Try it out. Oh, bam, look, it worked. Thank you, because I had this link to help me get there. Sorry, my throat's starting to go. But I think trying to inject into the game links to the very helpful media that is out there at our disposal would be really good for the new players coming to the game. And that's my 5 cents, because we don't have pennies in Canada.
we're here to help,
Good.
and we're pretty passionate about it. In fact, I mean, generally people that come into Reddit chat, or even in our STO or our STO builds, they're treated pretty well. I don't know if this is in comparison to other MMOs. Again, I have very little to compare it to, but it seems to me that taking advantage of that would only benefit Cryptic.
I think that there's something to be said about STO, aside from the Trek IP, that keeps some players coming back to it to at least check and see, hey, is it working yet? That says something about the game itself.
It does. You're right. I know a lot of people that are on that fence that are, like, well, when alts aren't so hamstrung, maybe I'll come back. Is something I hear a lot.
We had a lot of people who came back when 11.5 landed. They stuck around for about close to a week, and then they bounced. And we're like, where'd you go? They're like, oh yeah, we couldn't play that much. They wanted to try out the new system. They saw they couldn't do that much with it. Not because the system itself was flawed, but because they couldn't play any of the content that already exists in there. And then some people want new content. And we really need to dedicate an entire episode to just PvP because, quite frankly, yeah, it needs it. It's still in the game. It's there. It needs its own.
We'll talk about it, like the fact
Yeah,
that you can't find sad pandas in any of the queues anymore, and
forget sad pandas. Really, come on.
That's a messed up day, though. I mean, because
I'm a sad panda.
I'm a sad panda that there are no sad pandas.
Sexual harassment panda.
Forget sad pandas. Forget
Spit it out, Marshall.
Forget all of them. Forget freaking Kirk and his crew. Forget Vex. Forget them all.
Hey! No! A definite shout out to the Grim Reapers. If you're
Grim
talking
Reapers, really?
If you're talking about Kythor, then Callan, Kythor, the gentleman that taught me how to PvP, I salute you.
So my issue with PvP at this point is most of the PvP community left is extremely toxic.
Yes! Oh man, almost as bad as the forums. That's why I don't even try.
Even worse. Like, there was a group, I forget what their exact name was, but they were on a TeamSpeak with a plane going into 2 towers in their name. That's just how toxic some of them are.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's...
Wow.
I just... most of basically all of the really good PvPers in that community have moved on.
And this is something that STO really needs to capitalize on, because you do have the capability of developing this community and this business model. Really, it's a separate business model from your PvE community. You're going to attract a different type of people coming into it. They are going to look at this game and say, hey, here's some potential with it. If they change a couple things here and there, they would have these people come in and they'll call their friends and they'll come in and play. And, doing the law of the 10% rule on this, 10% of those people will throw down real life cash to be able to get whatever they need to do to catch up with their buddies. And if you grow that community, that 10% rule is going to pay out for you big time. You just got to develop it.
And unfortunately, it is too late for PvP and STO. It's let's be honest here. It's too late.
Go ahead.
It's too late. It's really unbalanced, and with the way the game is, it's just not feasible to have balanced PvP.
You're right, and here's where I will again bring up my suggested fix to that problem. I've said it before. I gotta say it again because it's a good idea. I don't want to let go of it. A separate PvP shard where you would copy your character over. It has different rules for gear, different rules for whatever balance is necessary. It could be tweaked, and you'd get a lot of help from the community if you even tried something like this. I guarantee it. And the way that you would fund it is charging for PvP-only character slots. That's my best idea to solve the situation. It might, if it was implemented right, Cam. That could do it.
So I was going to actually suggest something very similar to that and actually do it as a separate standalone game. Just a separate standalone client that is has its own development team and has its own, basically its own production schedule and its own server and all of that, and then you can implement whatever balancing rules you want in there. And other games have done that, and it has worked really well. And I'll give the example of the game I'm currently playing, which is Ark Survival Evolved. It used to have a mod, a total conversion mod called Survival of the Fittest, which was like really intense PvP, very Hunger Games style. And that actually got taken. It was basically a mod, and it was converted into its own standalone client. And there's actually tournaments for that on that now with cash prizes. I believe there's like $10,000 cash prize for winning the tournaments, etc., something like that. And it is separate from the main game, and it's balanced differently, and it has its own dev team, which does work in conjunction with the originals game's dev team, but they are a separate entity, and something like that would work very well for STO. Just, you have all the resources available there. You just have to tweak the balance, make sure that some of the overpowered stuff is not in there, and make sure all the factions are balanced, so, but I mean, balance is not, make it hegemonous and, there's no variety or whatever, but have a little bit of the rock, paper, scissors style gameplay that at least used to exist in PvP for a brief period, but was long gone. I mean, you have games such as like the new Overwatch, and just which is kind of like a mixture of Team Fortress 2 and Heroes of the Storm kind of mixed in together. There are lots of games out there that are just pure PvP clients that you can play. So that's something they could implement with STO. I'm guessing that they might need a little bit of seed money to implement that. So maybe some kind of investment, possibly from PWE, since they are the parent company, the publisher. So, something like that could work out. And like I said, other gaming companies have done that with their games and have been immensely successful. So the question is, do you want to be successful or not? Do you want to have, do you want to bring some PvP into the game? Where, in STO itself, the original game, it's not going to work out. Let's be honest. It's just not going to work out. So there's a possible solution to that.
I agree that it's not going to work out in this game with this meta. It's going to have to be a different meta, because that's just the nature of things. It always was that PvP was a separate meta. For example, accuracy weapons, which are reasonably useless in PvE, are, and still, as far as I'm aware, Cam, yes, are still pretty much what you would want to use in PvP, bar some other edge cases and pre-made teams and things like that.
Nope.
It depends what the sources of accuracy that we have now in the game. Again, depending on build, you don't need that much accuracy mods on your weapon, if at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that still do PvP that just literally take in like their crit D3 pens or damage 3 pens, and that still gets them where they need to go.
Fair enough. I haven't played in long enough that, it's been a while. It just hasn't been something that I could do. I'm a healer, and that usually takes a pre-made team to be effective,
All right, moving along here, we definitely have a nice little vid that Ernest and SF911 have done. We're going to post. Yeah, Thorian, Thorian. Wow, I'm just gonna. Yeah, enough. But they did a very nice two-man CCA, and I believe so far that's the fastest two-man CCA that we have at this point. That was, doing it with logs posted. So, congrats to them. They've done very good at the job, and I believe there's going to be some challenges coming out after you guys. So refine your work and keep up at it.
Those two are terrifying.
Oh, you know that, but they do good work. You can see it in the video itself. That is like, yeah, here's how they're working together with it, and you can kind of tell exactly where they have their initial plan, and then how they're breaking from it, and then they're coming right back to it again. It's like, yeah, this
Yep.
is what this game should be about.
And Eli does pretty good videos too.
Oh yeah, definitely. But this is also something else on slightly related to this as well. Going back to the devs on this to create endgame content, when the players have to challenge themselves in what would be considered unusual ways to bring themselves a challenge in this game, I think it's time to be able to say, yeah, we need an elite version of this. We need to step up the content level a bit more. And it's not because the masses, really can't get up to that level. We're getting more people up to that level. It's happening. You've introduced power creep to the nth degree with this expansion here. With the season here, not even counting what the expansion is going to bring. We don't even know what tsunami is coming with that one. But with 11.5, you have much more power creep introduced into the game. You're seeing a lot more people who still don't know what they're doing from a technical standpoint, doing twice, 3, even 4 times the amount of damage that they're doing now, that they were doing prior to 11.5, sorry. And when they actually learn how to do something, watch out. Now more than ever, start planning for new content, start planning for the elite content, and make sure your infrastructure can handle it all, or else you're going to start losing players.
Well, it's a little disheartening because the interview that Al Riviera did apparently said that there are new queues that are coming, but no elite only or elite versions of current queues. I really, really, really hope that is not a firm answer, because you need to make elite versions happen. There's people who want it. There's people who need it, who crave it. You need to bring elites back, dude, please.
They're not going to do it. It's not. It's the elite queues are just too rewarding, and the devs in charge, the ones who make the decisions, are they basically are very grudgingly, miserly giving us the rewards that we have. If they can give us less rewards for the current content without causing an uproar, they would. Unfortunately, they can't, so they're just not going to give us the elite queues. I don't foresee that coming anytime soon.
Well, it could be as simple, like they could just. This is a word that I can't believe I'm going to be using, because God forbid. Proactive. It's a very, very interesting word.
It's tough.
Maybe start doing a Q&A. Like, if I was an executive producer of something, well, I kind of am, but not game related. And Zeph Films, for example, when I do videos and I kind of run out of ideas or whatever, or I'm looking to do the next thing, I look to what people are commenting on or what they're saying. Like, for example, when I said that I was thinking about doing a Kit Bash video involving the community, that was actually an idea that somebody had commented on a video. There was I did the trailer for that not Step Between the Stars, but the mission where you walk out on DS9 in the EV suit. I actually hit up Facebook.
Oh,
and
Boldly They Road.
Boldly They Road, thank you. I hit up Facebook and I'm like, hey, what is everybody's favorite mission in game? And Boldly They Road was actually one of the more popular answers. So I believe that Al or Salami need to take this. Well, I don't have a degree in business, but this screams business 101 to me, and kind of start, like, it's no surprise that people are screaming, hey, we want to lead. Start feeling it out. Start doing Q&As. Be like, hey, if we were to bring back elites, what would you say to this kind of reward? It won't be significantly a lot, but it'll be a little bit more than advanced. What do you like about that? What kind of rewards do you want to see? Yeah, I mean, like, there needs to be a little bit of proactiveness about this. This is something that people really, really want.
The people that care enough to respond will give good feedback, I think.
Exactly, and we saw it with the skill revamp tree. Like, the people who cared and
Look at
actually,
what it went pretty bug free, and I think honestly, not necessarily. I mean, everybody deserves a lot of credit for the feedback.
yeah, there was a lot. Like, I don't even know how. I can't even remember how many pages that feedback thread got on, and I know it got pretty heated at times. But look at the end product. Let's
It
take
got to
that.
the point there were three different feedback threads on Tribble testing for 11.5, and
Enthusiastic testing.
no joke. I mean, when we put a call to arms out for testing, people answered it in droves, and
People
we all
signed up.
handled different aspects of it almost organically. And then we came back and compared notes, and it was like, oh, good. Here's what we can do. Oh, you found this interaction here. Oh, guess what? If we probably try this interaction you found here with this one, and I found over here, we might get something else. Oh, this one is working for some of these abilities, but not others. Let's go back and provide feedback to the devs and have it got fixed. And they turned around and fixed it quickly. We were shocked, amazed, and very pleased that that happened. And then after 11.5, it's quiet.
Yep.
I was very proud, but the inconsistency is driving me nuts.
Yeah, and
Look,
I think they should do
mind.
the same thing with the elite queues. Bring it back to the Tribble, and let's work with it. Let's work with the developers, and let's see how the payouts even out. Make sure they're free. Make sure that the scaling and difficulty is not so monstrously crazy that the 200k plusers can't even put a scratch in like a tactical queue, but make sure that it's an actual challenge. Let's have a back and forth, be proactive, and actually address a big thing that a large amount of the community actually wants. So
Okay, I just want to say something here. It's a bad comparison because the testing we were doing for the skill revamp, we were we were interacting with like Bordicus and Cryptic Spartan and I can't remember the names of the Cryptic Rock maybe So these are the guys that are actually working on the project. These are the guys that are doing the coding and fixing the code and doing whatnot. So yeah, there's Bordicus, let's be honest here, he's actually really good with interactions and feedbacks and going back and forth with the players. And if you report a problem to him, he will look into it and fix it if he can. Sometimes he doesn't do the right thing, but that's a discussion. That's another discussion at all. But in general, that level of devs are really good at interacting with the player base. I mean, like we were just talking about Thomas the Cryptic Cat earlier on in the episode. So,
who responded to me the duration of the episode?
Yeah, pretty much, But the thing is, the problem, the hitch with these elite queues is not with that level of devs. We're really talking about the leads of the different departments and probably even people above the level of Gecko or even Salami Inferno, maybe like even the CEO of Cryptic or people of that level that are just just adamant they don't want to give that up. So and these are the people that really don't interact well with the player base. And when it comes to people like Gecko, let's be honest, he really does not interact very well with the player base. Salami is a lot better than him. Thank goodness he's better than the previous couple of executive producers that we've had. But he's been pretty silent recently. So that's the thing, it would be nice if they could interact with us a little bit better. And maybe in Gecko's case, stop giving exclusivity to, a certain group and perhaps branch out and talk to more people. I mean, yeah, might be challenged and ask some difficult questions, but get over it.
Yeah. Well, I would like he says no to elite only and elite version queues. My retort is, why? I don't think I've ever seen a why.
Yeah, sometimes I get the feeling he doesn't like to be challenged.
Well, people want to know why, and it's usually what I asked. Like if you're gonna give me an answer, like if at work I ask for something and I get told no, I'd be like, well, why not? Can
The
we just
silence
ask?
is what's concerning too. I mean,
Yeah.
silence is an answer if you think about it. It really is. When you're point blank asked questions, which I've witnessed multiple times, I've witnessed one-sided attempt at exchanges on Twitter of various folks trying to engage the developers and things like that, and just being blanked, and that's a response.
Yeah, and they pretty much go out of their way to avoid getting into a situation where someone's going to ask them why.
Mm-hmm.
Curated questions don't always answer the questions that the player base has. And I realize, I understand it's not practical to necessarily answer every question the player base might have. Some stuff is proprietary, some stuff is internal, some stuff is metrics. We all get that. But it's like the complete blanking of responses is what we're feeling. You know, when we're getting no response on any questions we're asking, it doesn't make it, just from a human standpoint, it just doesn't make one feel very good.
No, and it comes back to the one thing that we've always really liked to see. Like we see it from Thomas the Cat, we see it from Zeronius, we see it from Bordicus. I think those are the three main developers that I see communication from. Sometimes we might not like it, but at least there is communication, and that is the main thing that we always come back to is the players really would like to have more communication from.
To the point where we're spending our time and effort asking for it over and over very politely. I mean, we're trying. You know, we're getting stymied, we're getting stonewalled repeatedly, and that's very disheartening. It's very demotivating. And we keep doing it. We keep trying because of the love of the game and the fact that we want to make it better. We want to help make it better. You know, that it's difficult to keep going back against that same stone wall and not hearing anything back.
Don't forget there are devs like I think Cryptic Rock.
Oh, that's right, Cryptic.
Yeah, John.
Yeah,
John is great. John is great.
developers, if you're listening to this, I don't mean to exclude anyone. I mention Zeronius because I talk to her a lot because there's stuff in Foundry that I do for videos. I talk with Thomas a lot because there's
Ship
a lot of
nerds.
things. Yeah, ship art. Everybody knows my ship porn videos, so obviously I'm going to talk to Thomas the Cat a lot. And Bordicus, I know that he interacts a lot because we hear about Odin talking about torpedo stuff and Bordicus and how I think Bordicus has a jokingly vendetta out for Odin and torpedoes.
This is a systemic criticism, not an individual person criticism. It's a systemic one.
I'm not. I don't intentionally mean to exclude any developers. I do remember Cryptic Rock. He's cool. But I know there's a lot of other. Yeah, I know there's a lot of others who, like a lot of ship artists who do a lot of good work. Like it was somebody else who worked on Hestia.
Hector and Jam Jams and
yeah. So I'm just
you have Taco fans as well. Don't ever piss off Taco fans.
Yeah.
Because that you're gonna end up really humiliated. Who else is actually? You know what? I can't believe we forgot this guy. I mean, we should give him a shout out. Cryptic Spartan.
Yeah, I was about to mention him as well. We've seen him engage with the public more.
Indeed.
Forums.
So he's really good. I think he's in QA, maybe, perhaps. I'm not exactly sure where he works, but he does answer questions very well, both on the forums and on Reddit, and he's usually pretty on point. So
he is very on point.
So shout out to him as well. But yeah, like when we're talking about devs at that level, even Zeronius, who's a producer, you know, it's they're human. I mean, sure, Board gets defensive sometimes, and I've butted heads with them. They're human, okay? So you know, they're gonna take offense if someone gets a bit too aggressive with them and that sort of thing. And you know, they work hard at this. You know, they put in a lot of hours, and you guys got to remember that working in the game industry is not easy. It really is.
Very few of us understand it. As I am told, very few understand the stresses and the pressure within the industry, and I believe it. I 100% believe that not only is it terrible, but we don't understand it.
yeah, so again, very stressful industry, very, very, very stressful, and I wouldn't say that it's toxic, but I'm pretty sure quite a few of those devs have early gray hairs and maybe a few extra
Well,
lines.
we
Just
did we not even have a former an alleged former STO dev speak fairly
Oh,
negatively about things
yeah.
fairly recently? Remember, we had someone that was real sore about the trailer and the quality of the rendering in the trailer. If you remember, right, Cam
Yeah.
and
oh
Alan,
yeah,
you remember?
Oh,
yeah
yeah.
they were
I
talking
actually
about
commented on that.
PWE. It was the PWE marketing department that handles some of that stuff, I think, or
Yeah,
was
it's
it
all
the cryptic?
It's all PWE marketing that handles
Yeah,
all
I
the
don't think that was
trailers that get
a
bought out.
yeah, I don't think it was a criticism too cryptic, but man, it was.
There's more criticism towards the engine. And Too Long Didn't Read. And maybe we can get into this more next week because it is an interesting read. But the Didn't Read of it was that he put in a lot of work and how-tos on the actual, like how to make high render pictures. He was talking specifically about pictures too. And now things have regressed back to how it was when he started, and they're putting out these mediocre low res photos that
Very
look like they
flatly
came out of a
lighted.
a comic book. And I'm reading this, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I totally agree. I actually dropped the T6 Federation flagship video for him. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of running point for marketing for them right now, but yeah, I agree. I've seen what the players can pound out just photo-wise on demo record,
Braves
and oh god, they smoke whatever Perfect World puts out for photos. Like just
Well,
absolutely smoke them.
I know it's a TLDR. I will interject only one thing, that one of the counter arguments was that the flat lighting and things like that was intentional to evoke the older era. I disagree. You can still make it look old school and not make it look that crappy. So I'm still kind of on the side of the former dev that they could have done better.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah.
I agree. That's sorry. I'm just commenting on something that's been posted in the chat. I agree. I'm pretty sure it's the leads. Some of the lead developers in the departments believe that they're infallible, and some of these guys have probably been working on this project for what, over 5 years, between 5 and 10 years, and they've become, I guess, set in their ways at this point, and they believe that they're absolutely correct and the player base is wrong. So, yeah, the problem with that is the player base votes with their wallets, and you're going to end up without a job eventually.
I mean, we are seeing diminished numbers, and that can't be denied. Everybody knows that. I mean, we never get official numbers from Cryptic as far as player stats, so definitely not. But again, I can say that the number of people in large popular channels that I'm admin of have been cut by a third or more.
Yep.
So I said this before to some of the really stupid people on the toxic stupid people on the forums, but I'll say it to some of the devs. Not all the devs. Don't take offense. I'm not gonna comment to all of you, but some of the devs really need to get their heads out of their ass and start listening to the players. It's as simple as that.
And one thing I actually want to bring up real quick before we move on here, especially with a couple of people who've left comments before in the past about how we've kind of flip-flopped or appear to be flip-flopping as far as, hey, one moment we're commenting on how great the devs are and what they've done here, and the next moment we're chastising them, for what they've done somewhere else. Guess what? Welcome to frickin' nuance. We actually call it as we see it, as how it comes out. They do something good here, yes, we're going to praise them for it. They do something bad somewhere else, and it's obviously, hey, this is a bad decision, come over and fix this, we're going to call it out. It's there. This is reality. Not everything is perfect, everything is awesome, or everything is horrible, everything is bad. There's some good, there's some bad. We're going to have to take with both, work with the good, try and fix the bad, and move on and try and enjoy the game or enjoy life in general. because this is just a microcosm of what reality has for us whenever we're working on anything, whether it be at an enterprise level or just dealing with your own personal interactions on a day-to-day basis. You're going to have some good and some bad. Deal with it. Call out the bad, get the bad fixed, enjoy the good. Done.
Period and stop.
Moving on. Our good boys over at Trek Yards that we've had over on the show here are doing a little fundraiser to be able to go to the Denver Con, if I remember that correctly there. And they want to be able to raise some funds in. They're almost there. They have 15 days left on their fundraising. So if you want to help them, go out there, get some exposure, experience, contacts, footage, models.
Whatever they make is going to be good.
You know, we're going to call them out on this too, though, because we're pushing for them to get this. So we're going to post a link on here. We could go to the Facebook group, support them there. You can go to their website. You can support them through PayPal, Patreon. I think they have is it a GoFundMe as well? We're definitely going to have the links there that I've gotten from them. Go support them. Go see their channel. If you haven't subscribed to their channel yet, go subscribe to them. They have a lot of good work out there that you sit back and enjoy, especially a couple of ones where you have a really good laugh. I know Mikey has his favorite one.
I got lots of favorites.
You know. And for those who wanted to hear the interview with Gecko, we have the Priority 1 link for that, so you can hear what he has to say about AOI and what's coming down the pipeline. Real quick, we're actually going to move the 11.5 mechanics revamp to next week, but note that is coming as well. We're going to have a big discussion on that. What powers or interactions need to have a revamp because something's broken or something stupidly OP or
boarding party.
Yes, boarding party, folks. It's a thing.
Feedback.
Oh man, I'm allergic to things that suck. Sorry.
No. Well, hold on a second. Boarding party is still better than transport warhead. It's true. We'll also have the videos posted. Actually, show notes are already up, so you'll see them posted there.
What was that? Commando teams? What was that?
No. Demolition teams.
Demolition teams.
Yes, that is like the bottom of the barrel, the worst. The worst. And Transport Warhead's right above it, just barely. We have the videos up here. Sarcasm, you want to go over the videos real quick? I've already covered Florian and Eli. You want to handle the other two?
Sure. I think I'll put them on the screen right now. The first one is basically a Agents of Yesterday Shield animation. Absolutely fantastic. I think that was posted on Reddit. Let's see if we can just like get that to repeat real quick so you guys can see it again.
Green Dragoon.
Who's a Foundry author, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So absolutely
I
fantastic.
saw that and I thought that was really cool.
So I'm sorry. That might be a bit choppy for the guys who are watching, so sorry about that.
Yeah.
But we'll just have the links there and they can go watch it at their leisure there. What's the second video that we have?
You got a camera? Oh, the second one, Happy Mortal did a video kind of for the lulz with some demo record trickery. The T6 Constitution class video. So just watch it. It's funny. Some people actually thought it was a real thing.
Some people thought it was not funny.
Some people thought it was not funny because got their hopes up and stuff. I laughed my ass off.
Yeah, I seriously, my sides were in constant jeopardy. But some people, especially if you look at the upvote downvote ratio of the thread, didn't like it.
Yeah, but I'd still
need to grow a sense of humor.
Yeah, really well done video. He did some little changes to change the ship skin, so.
It's a D7. The spheres are D7s, and he's a Connie.
Yeah.
It's a great video. Well done, Happy.
I knew Spencer would like it.
Yeah, it's right up Spencer's alley.
And that's it for videos.
All right, and we have the articles for This Week in Trek brought to you by Ain, which we had put out a call invite for, and he was actually going to go through this in person himself, as well as discuss the STO helpers thread. But unfortunately, he got caught in an oven accident, and he's now being baked in a pie.
He hates you guys.
Yeah, something like that. So we're just going to leave that there, and then we're going to go over next week's This Week in Trek as well.
Torture him next time.
Our space news, real quick before we end the show. NASA's Kepler mission announced the largest collection of planets ever discovered. And what they've done is that Kepler's collected all this data, and between the supercomputers and the astronomers going through that data, it take them some time before they actually confirm, yep, this is a planet based off of either transit data or something else that they would corroborate with other systems to be able to detect exoplanets. And this one was a shocker to me because I remember when Zeph put this out to me, I was like, what? No, that can't be right. That number is too high. But nope, they did.
Yeah, you
1,000.
Like a girl.
Dude, I squean like Thane getting the 14 million feedback pulse. I was like, what?
They found a new supergiant, Alan. They're naming it after your mom.
Oh, get out of here with that, please, please.
Wow.
I would make old jokes, but that's horrible anyway.
This is absolutely fascinating. They've doubled or more than doubled the amount of exoplanets found, and Kepler is actually looking at a very small portion of space, very, very tiny portion of space. I mean, what is it, like 0.00 something? 4%?
Actually, I think for this particular one, it was something like 0.25% of the sky.
So let's put it to you this way. I had an analogy for this. Let's put it this way. If the Earth were our galaxy, and for those who live in the U.S., you understand the size of your plots for a home. Think of the portion of the sky that Kepler's looking at and the proximity to Earth as 1/3 of your backyard from your back door. That's the small area that we're looking at. And we've found over 2,000, almost what, 3,000 now? Almost 3,000 planets total between Kepler and other detection methods. And we're starting to refine the detection methods. And we're just looking at this one tiny piece of the sky.
So here's the thing, though. All these planets that have been found have been cases where their plane of the elliptical is in line with our view. That is, these are cases where the orbits of the planets take them in front or behind their parent star that they're orbiting, so we can see the dimming of the star as they transit in front of it from our point of view. So it is extremely rare that actually happens. And the conjuncture here is that the universe is absolutely filled with planets. But it's just jam-packed. I mean, it's looking like every single solar system out there possibly has planets in them. Which is, if you think about it, when I was a kid, when I was like really young in elementary school, the universe was very, very small. I mean, we had 9 planets back then, and it was basically known that there was no other planets out there. There are no planets around other stars. It was just, our solar system that had the planets in it. And now we're getting to a point where, it's pretty much everything we can see out there that is basically going to have, planets orbiting it. And we're finding quite a lot of Earth-like planets. And there's at least of the new pack of things that have been found, the new 1,400 planets, whatever, there's one that is very, very similar to Earth. I think it's Kepler 1440b, or it's something like that.
C, and it's orbiting a red dwarf, and its sister planets are too close on the inner orbits for that star's habitable zone, or Goldilocks zone, as some people like to call it. But that one is Earth size in the Goldilocks zone, the best candidate to have liquid water on it, and it's in very close proximity to us, relatively speaking. 20 some odd light years away. A stroll down the street.
Pretty much. So yeah, so this is I find it fascinating. I'm really interested about this stuff. I know Odin is as well, and hopefully you guys watching are a little bit interested. I mean, you guys are playing a space game, right? You should be kind of interested in this. I'm hoping.
Well,
Maybe.
and here's one of the things here that comes off of this. The technology for Kepler is about a decade old because it took time to develop it from concept to actual fabrication to introduction, launch, gone. At least a decade old off of that. What Kepler is doing with this is equivalent to being able to see a big lighter being held in front of a lighthouse in New York, and you're looking at it from California, and you could tell exactly what type of big lighter it is. That's the type of detail it is for transit on what Kepler is doing here. Now, there are other methods that you can use to also help add to that data that Kepler is gathering. Gravitational lensing, you can use perturbation, you can actually tell whether that star is either moving closer or away from you, and then time that movement. And if you see it being blue shifted or red shifted, then you can guesstimate the mass of that planet or planets. There are a couple other methods into this I'm not going to go into right now, but yeah, that's pretty much all of that technique. Yeah, it's great for astronomers, but what does it mean for real life? You'll see. It's coming down the pipe. Those technologies are now being refined to be able to come down to a more terrestrial usage. And then for the advanced future, this is something that mankind has never had before. We have a map of places that we've never explored. So that way, when we do have the capabilities to go and explore those areas, we're not going to get lost. We have a good idea of what's going to be there. We just don't have the details yet. And even then, we're working on technologies right now where we can get the details on atmospheric composition of those planets under the right conditions. And that's probably going to be coming within the next decade.
Oh, I can't wait for the James Webb telescope. I mean,
James Webb, when that sucker's online, game's going to change.
Oh yeah, is that still being delayed, or is that still going to be released, launched soon?
I have to read up on what the latest is on it, but it was still going forward. There were some delays with it, but it's still going forward as of last I read. It's too far gone right now to just get scrapped. There's way too much invested in it.
I mean, I think the satellite itself is mostly complete. There's some technical issues here and there, I think, but
yeah, part of it with the mirrors and the other part with the firmware for guidance. I believe the thermal shielding technology that they have for it is more or less settled. They're going to work on the actual I forget what the heck it was, but something with the way that they're going to package the different components, ship it for assembly right before it's actually launched, and then worry about how to be able to get it to the proper Lagrangian point and then make sure everything is functioning at that point. But I actually have to read up on this in order to be able to find out. But we're going way over time with this right now.
Oh, yeah, same here.
We're going to, the Nerding Out Cisco version. Yes, exactly. So we're going to wrap up the show here. We're going to see folks in game when we get there. Hopefully the lag won't be too bad for a lot of us when we start doing a couple of the runs. But SOB, what do you call that map that you've been running there? Because we like to get people a little bit scared.
It's Borg Infestation. It's now under the Browse All section on the Foundry.
Please do post that in the show notes as well. Actually on the Reddit thread because it's already up and waiting for you. So that'll be it. Yeah, we'll throw the link down. That's for everybody here from the show. Have a good night. We'll see you out there.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.